and today I am continuing the new challenge I started where I draw a character with every letter of the alphabet. Today is B, so let's get right into it. So I did have a little bit of trouble picking a character for this letter because there's a lot of good characters that start with B, like Bethany Sanderson from Story Thieves, or Bucky Barnes, or Black Widow. But in the end, I chose Bumblebee from Transformers because I wanted to have a wide variety of characters, and I figured I'd draw people from other movie series or genres later. So I chose Bumblebee to kind of add a little bit more variety. And I really do love Bumblebee. He's so cute in the Bumblebee movie. So as you can see, the face isn't looking very good right now. I fixed that later. He's a robot, so it's hard to make him look alive, even though he is, because he's an alien. So I struggled a lot with the face, but I ended up making it look decently good, I think. So, don't worry, I do come back and fix it later. For his design, I chose one from the Bumblebee movie. So he is the Volkswagen Beetle version rather than the Camaro version, because I think the round look, it just makes him look a little bit nicer in my opinion. So yeah. Right now I'm doing my second sketch, which I do believe I do 3 sketches: a really rough sketch, a more cleaned up sketch, and then one of the cleanest sketches before line art, because it was so hard for me to get him to look right, because I am translating a real life movie into a 2D art style. I could have used the design from Transformers 1, and I do really like that movie too, but I do prefer the design from the real life movies, maybe just because I prefer those movies a little bit more, but I don't know, I just prefer it, so I drew him like that. Oh, okay, I just remembered I didn't do line art for this picture. I thought I did. I don't know why. I just had a major brain fart right there. I did not do line art for this picture because I just did 3 sketches, and then I looked at it and I'm like, oh my gosh, I gotta line all these robot parts. And it sounded horrible. So I chose to do a more digital painting style. And when I do this, my process is to block out all the colors with shapes instead of doing line art, and then I will render on top of them. So that is what I did rather than doing line art, and I do think it paid off because I do like it. In the last video for this series, I mentioned how I probably need to study how to render metal because I didn't know how to do it for her lightsabers since I drew Ahsoka. But I didn't really practice in this video, even though I'm drawing a 10-foot tall robot. Because I digital painted it, I didn't really practice anything. I just went with it. I was feeling kind of lazy with this picture, to be honest. Wasn't really feeling it. For the background, I tried to do what I saw in most references I was looking at, which was a space thing, but I could not get anything to look right. I didn't know what I was doing. How do people make galaxies? I don't know. Mine just kept looking like a muddy mess, and I didn't know what to do. In the end, I just kind of make a night sky with some clouds and a stars, I guess. As you can see, I was desperate and I was looking through the asset library. I ended up just kind of using them as references, and I do remove the yellow from the sky later because I think it looks pretty bad. I just put it in there because I saw it in all the references. Yeah, and I also added a comet thing that I saw behind him in another reference. Pretty sure that's a transformer hurtling to the earth below, but you can never know for sure. They look pretty unrecognizable from this distance. Yeah, so I didn't spend too much time in the background. And then I blurred a ton because I didn't really like it. So yeah, now we can move on to So again, I have no idea how to shade metal. So for this rendering, I was relying very heavily on my reference, though I ended up just going for some very basic shading. I didn't really try and shade it any differently, except for on a couple parts, like the little bumper thingy on the, what is that car part called? It's the little thing right here that's like juts out under the headlights. Is it a bumper? I don't know. It doesn't quite look like a bumper. So for my digital painting, I use the Shansuni brush, I think. I don't exactly know what it's called. But I just kind of make the colors darker, and then I'll just like blend them out as I go. To kind of like make a blend. Because I'm blending out. I just said that. I don't think I know what I'm talking about. But, so it doesn't take me very long. Well, it even though it's kind of a little bit tedious. And I do enjoy it, but I tend not to exaggerate shadows as much with this style, because because when I am rendering, usually I'll take a multiply layer, overlay it, and then I'll lower the opacity, and a lot of times I won't lower the opacity that much. But with this, I don't lower the opacity. I have to pick a color that's a certain level, and most of the time I don't make them very dark. I do go back in with a second pass of shadows way later, that's even darker, but for now I'm working on the eyes, which I made glow. They kind of look dead on the inside, but I really didn't know what I was doing. As you can see demonstrated in the face, I was trying to render metal, but it wasn't looking like metal. It just looked weird. Maybe I should have rendered the rest and then come back to that, but I didn't. One thing I learned is that usually metal doesn't blend anything. It's just one solid color on a certain plane, and then maybe you've got like a mid-tone in between that and highlight. But other than that, it doesn't really blend. So me trying to blend all this stuff with my painting style was not making it look like metal, so it looked really weird. And I ended up covering up most of this later and just going to how I usually render this kind of stuff, so it doesn't stay like this. I did make it relatively dark around the eyes in this area because I wanted to add some contrast next to that blue. Here's where I toned that highlight down a lot. More shadows, and I just kind of repeat this process for this whole thing. It's kind of hard to talk about this just because I jump around so much, and I don't always spend a lot of time on one area. So like right now I'm spending a lot of time rendering the face, but before I was jumping from the shoulder to any other area, and it's just, it's pretty chaotic. So I'm not entirely sure what to talk about. Like I just said. Here I tried to make this look actually kind of decently like metal, and I do think the really strong kind of smudged highlight works. I was also trying to render it in a way so you could tell that those little things come on in front of the bigger pole, but I don't think it comes across like that because I was so sloppy. My digital painting style tends to be a lot messier than my traditional style, which I guess is to be expected when what you're drawing doesn't have a line art and you've got a very finicky brush. I probably need to find a different painting brush because this one's really like not quite what I want, but this is like one of the only painting brushes on Ibis Paint, so I don't know. Here I rendered the hand, which I was being very lazy. I knew I could have gone more all out because I was looking at the reference and I saw how they rendered it, and I could have done it like that, but I wasn't feeling it, so I ended up just doing it how I wanted to, and I didn't want it to be very complicated, so I just kind of hurried through it. Still kind of struggling for words. I guess I'm pretty tired. Here I went basically black with the main shadow color for the dark gray. And then I just brought in a transition color and blended it out. And here I brought in more yellow to make that even darker because I wanted the shadows to be stronger, and I blended that out a little bit. And then I brought the background back in, and this is where I got tired of digitally painting and went in and brought in a multiply layer to kind of like make the what's it called? I'm trying to think of the word. The lighting situation more intense, I guess. I don't know. This is my go-to lighting situation. I added another multiply layer to make the shadows even darker and just added it around. So using my painting brush. And then after I did this, I added another one to make the shadows even darker. And just continued this for a while. Well, actually, I don't know if I did 3 or 4. It was somewhere around there. Then I realized I forgot to render this hand, so I came back in and just kind of sloppily rendered it. I did not spend any time in that at all. And then I went in and did what? I'm waiting for you to do something so I can talk about. Oh yeah, I added more details to the headlights, just some more highlights, and I also added little rivets that I saw. And I added a blue highlight from the side. Don't know how I feel about that. Probably could have left that out. But there it is. I added a little bit more to some other areas. And this was just kind of the final touches. I was just adding in a bunch of highlights and shadows back and forth for a little while. I added a black airbrush shadow to give it a little bit more depth on one side. And by this point I was pretty much done, except I did come back later and move this antenna around because I did not like the way it was sticking up. So I did that, and then I also came back to this hand and gave it a little bit more rendering, though I didn't spend that much time on it, and I'm pretty sure I undid a lot of what I did here. I forgot to turn off the multiply layers though when I was doing it, or the black layer that I added. So it was really, I was trying to select colors and it wasn't working and I didn't know what was going on. But here is the finished picture. I had a lot of fun making it, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I will be back with the letter C soon, and I hope to see you then.